I might be able to teach you guys how to taste wine like me, but I'll never be able to sing like you. So, I'll stick to the shower. What is shaking, everyone? Fred Dex, MS here, and we are on Rock Your Wine World, a show where we talk to musicians, winemakers about all things wine, rock and roll, music, entertainment, food, fun, and a good time. And today I am blessed to have one of the top-selling artists of all time, multiple Grammy Award-winning #1 hit-making machine, and now wine industry pros, Boyz II Men in the house. They once combined Shawn and Wanya like sommelier. What's up, guys?
Freddie D, what's up, man?
I'm just chilling, man. I'm looking forward to chatting about Harmony by Boyz II Men. So Boyz II Men has created a wine called Harmony, appropriately named. Pour the wine, light the fire. We are here. I need that shirt, guys. I'm waiting on that shirt.
Oh, we got you covered.
So Boyz II Men has created a wine in partnership with Chateau August in Bordeaux with great winemaker Damien Landouar. And I have the wines in front of me. I've been tasting them for the last couple of weeks. Great job, guys, on picking Bordeaux.
Thank you.
Classy and classic, like you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're coming up on 30 years, right? Being together.
Yep.
30 years next year for sure. Yep.
30 years, and you guys, you look all the good for it.
Trying
to say we haven't aged.
Yeah. Well, let's start off a little bit and just get a little history of the band and how you guys met and how this all came together. Because Boyz II Men is the soundtrack of many of our lives, especially of a certain generation. I'm probably in the same generation as you guys, and in my life, I've had many of great moments to Boyz II Men songs. Both on the dance floor and in other capacities, let's say. How'd you guys get started? And I know
got you.
Cool stories, about how you got your big break, and just tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we started this racket between 1989, 1990 in high school. We all went to high school for creative performing arts, and we vocal music majors there. So we all were in the same choir. We weren't really friends. We just saw each other in passing a lot. And over time, I was actually working on some vocal groups throughout the years and while I was in high school. And every year, different artists would graduate and leave the group. And then I'd put new guys in. And, Juan and Shawn and our fourth member happened to be very good vocally. They just made sense for the group. And it was a group for fun. It wasn't a group looking for a deal or to be signed or anything. It was just something to do in school that we enjoyed. And it's funny because, like I said, we weren't really friends, but once we started singing together, we started to, really, really get close because the music is kind of what brought us that way. So that was the origination of the group.
Yeah. So you're kind of the grandfather of the group. You put this all together.
Yeah, he's the Papa Smurf.
Smurf. Yeah.
The Oracle.
Yeah. So then, speaking of that, so I know you guys have different vocal ranges, ranging from tenor to vibrato tenor, bass, baritone. How did that all come together? And was there like a magic moment? I know there was a fourth member, Michael, in the group, but was there a magic moment where you guys knew, hey, we got something here, and let's make a go?
Well, in all actuality, like Nate said, we went to the High School for Creative and Performing Arts, so we each had our own vocal.
Are you drinking? I'm gonna drink too. I thought we was waiting. I thought we was waiting on something.
Pour the wine like I don't have a fire. I poured the wine.
I thought you were waiting on something. You started.
Yeah, right. It's that type of party. It's that.
Yeah, type of party. I see. You jumped the ball over the finish line and everything.
You don't know us wine guys. 3 o'clock, we've already had a glass or two.
Yeah. But so us being all different vocal parts, me being a first tenor, Shawn being a second tenor, Nate being a baritone, and Michael being a bass, we already had our ranges of where we actually go. in our minds already. So once we started singing together, we instantly began to pick our parts. You know what I'm saying? So the magical moment was being in the bathroom in high school. Urine smell. Just the regular. The men's bathroom, urine smell everywhere. But we totally negated the smell and went there specifically for the acoustic. So as we got in there, Nate, Shawn, myself, and Mark Nelson, who was a member of the group at one point in time, we started singing a song that we would sing, very often, Can You Stand the Rain? And we each had our parts that we actually would sing. It's always been instant because we knew what we were, what our parts was. And Mike came into the bathroom and he was, adding to the urine smell. And while we were singing the parts, that we would normally sing, the chorus, it got to the chorus and Michael, which was the member of the group, he actually added that part. And it was a sound that, that reverberated throughout the whole bathroom. I mean, every corner of the bathroom was filled with this harmony. And there was nothing we could do but, soak it all in. And it was almost like a drug, you know what I mean? You get that hit for the first time and you're like, I gotta have it again, I gotta have it again. And that's what we searched for. Every single time we rehearsed, every single time we went anywhere, we would look for that sound, look for that acoustics. And that's basically, what the magical moment was.
Yeah, well, your teachers must have thought, what are these guys doing in the bathroom singing when other kids are going in there to do exactly the opposite,
They didn't know. They didn't
lighten
know.
up,
Yeah. They had no idea what we were doing. You know what I mean? We just were sometimes late for class because of it. That's all they know.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you then, you got together, you get your sound together, you have a couple of token songs that you've kind of worked out the arrangements and who's going to sing what. Then you go, I've read this old legendary story that you guys kind of crashed a celebrity party to get to Will Smith.
That's the first story.
Yeah, that's a new story right there.
Which ended up with Michael Bivins, Belle Biv DeVoe, and he's like, hey, that's the moment where you guys are like, these guys got something. So how did that feel? That must have been like a pinch me moment. That's like that stuff of legend, sneaking in the demo tape or waiting outside the record company to get to, like Clive Davis or somebody,
Yeah, well, that version you just said that was a new one. Like I didn't hear that one before. That was a brand new.
Hey, Wikipedia. So check your page.
That was part
they're always accurate.
That was part of the early story. I mean, we actually went over to a party at Will's when he was, early on, and we were supposed to sing for him there. Obviously, the party got a little crazy, so we didn't really have a whole lot of time to do it. I mean, we did a little something, but nothing like what we really should have done. And I guess it wasn't enough for him to sign us. And Will is allowed to make as many mistakes as he wants. So it might have been one of his early ones, but I'm sure he is not upset about it. But with that being said, yeah, the next day there was a show that we went to called The Powerhouse, which was in Philly, which was a radio event that all of the Philly artists and a lot of different artists from around the country will perform at. And that's where we were invited to that show the next day. And we went there. And the guy we were waiting on to get in, who invited us with the tickets, didn't show up till almost it was over. So, we're outside and we always sing everywhere we go, subway, walking down the streets, whatever we do. So we're outside and we're singing a little bit, and our singing helps us get into the show. Then we're hanging around the backstage a little bit, and we're singing, and then our singing helps us get one guy into the show. So one guy gets in, he meets a couple of friends back there with passes, and they give him one. He comes out, gives to the other guy goes back and back and forth till we all got back there. So there was a little bit of, planning to make it happen. And by the time we got back there, the guy that invited us showed up, and we were already about to sing for Mike Bivins.
Wow. And you guys are huge New Edition fans, right? Like that's kind of the generation before you, Bobby Brown, Belle Biv DeVoe. Right. Man, that must have been so cool. And then you get signed, and then he offers to produce you, right? And is that the story?
Yeah, that's it. Like 6 months, coincidentally, 6 months after we were formed, Mike Bivens acquired a deal with Motown Records. And it just seemed to have all just been kismet as far as like it everything happening at the right time. We formed as a group, and he was coincidentally looking for artists to sign to his new production company. So we just happened to run into each other at the right time. We're at the right place, and that's how it happened. And maybe a few months, almost to a year later, we got signed. All the legalities got out of the way. We got signed, and we got to work, started recording in New York, and the rest is history.
So when you dropped that first record, Cooley High Harmony, what was your expectation? Were you just happy to have a record? I mean,
there was no expectation whatsoever. I mean, a lot of people don't know, but the songs that were on Cooley High Harmony were songs that were written in high school, before we even had a deal, before we even met Michael Bivens. A lot of them was before everything, a couple of songs Nate wrote was even before Boyz II Men, you know what I'm saying? It was just songs that he had that were just so awesome. It was just outrageously cool. And, when we would go to rehearsal, he would actually teach us the harmonies to those songs, like Please Don't Go. We had an a cappella version of it before it even became a record. So all we wanted to really do was record. We didn't know what actually was going to transpire from it. The record label didn't even know what to do with Boyz II Men, all because we were doing something totally different from what the industry was already, what they had already accepted. I mean, it was around the Milli Vanilli time and all that stuff. So everything was electronic and synthesized, and we came in with organic vocals. And it just was, something that no one had any expectations. We just wanted to be, heard. And that's exactly, what happened. I mean, the records were actually given to Dallas Austin with no music, sung to him. Wow. And he produced around those records that already existed, So no expectations whatsoever. I mean, that's just the stars aligned at that time.
Yep. So the first hit is Motown Philly, right? That was your first single you dropped?
Yes.
And to me, that was in like the summer between, I think, my 8th and 9th grade year. And that's the time when you're a teenage kid running around, chasing girls. Mm-hmm, and I just remember it was booming out of everybody's car. It was booming in all the dance halls. And my friends and I used to fancy ourselves. We used to have dance offs, and I grew up in central Pennsylvania, like Bloomsburg area, north of Philly.
Okay.
And we had these little dance clubs Saturday night, sock hops, and when your record dropped, I mean, it was a whole new thing. And I think the summer before that, Will Smith had, he had what's it called? Not Getting Jiggy with It, Summertime, and that was the song around the same time. I think that dropped in, like, just I have those memories. So what happened when you get your, I used to watch Boomerang a lot. Like, believe it or not, I grew up in a video store, VHS. So I could watch any movie I wanted to. And I remember watching Eddie Murphy and, Being So Fly. And you get your first #1 hit, 14 weeks. You kick Elvis's butt. Of his record at 13 weeks. You guys got to be, your heads have to be spinning. People want to be in your entourage and hang out with you. So what was that like? And how did, because you're just kids, you're still teenagers, right? Or
we're still like late teenagers going into our 20s. And it was a cool moment, but we were working so fervently that we really didn't get a chance to really enjoy it like I guess a lot of people would expect. Like when we got the news that we broke the record for the longest #1 and beat Elvis Presley and the Beatles, we were in London at the time. We were actually about to go on stage. And I think it was the Hippodrome in London. And the guy, one of our label reps told us, and we were literally like, all right, cool. And that was it.
That's all you got, John?
That's all we got. Yeah, because it was like we didn't really soak it in until we got back home because we were so busy just running around and doing all kinds of things, that we didn't understand the significance of it until we were able to just sit down and really understand exactly what that was. So, but I mean, you know,
right. I mean,
it was cool.
And even still, the crazy thing is when you don't know that that type of record existed, like we didn't have any idea that there was a record that existed like that. But when you don't know that exists and you hear about it, you're like, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? So if it was something that we were working to do, we would feel like, we did it, you know what I mean? But you know, so it was just something that happened. It wasn't
like an accomplishment that we were chasing or anything like that.
Of course. But just the fact that the people, the people voted. They voted 14 weeks for you guys, that song to be number one. That movie's great. That broke Halle Berry's career. Robin Givens. I mean, I used to love that movie. So now, with record two, because this is the transition where I'll get into Pour the Wine, Light the Fire. You write, I'll Make Love to You. And this is the whole thing, Pour the Wine, Light the Fire. So were you guys getting into wine at this time? Or was this just a lyric that was like, just made sense,
I don't know. I know Shawn been into wine early. He might have been already. I doubt it, but
I wasn't that early.
He's a winery guy, so I'm sure he come a little bit early. But I don't think we were at that time. I think it was just a song that ironically happened. It's a beautiful song, and actually Babyface wrote that record for us. And we grew up in that realm where we were taught to try to treat people with respect and especially women with. That's what we were taught to do our best to be the best person we can and show the best admiration for other people as we can. And those lyrics were perfect for who we were. Pour the wine, light the fire. I'll make love to you. Just all that stuff. And and now we look back and we see it helps to surround what we're doing today. But again, back then it wasn't something that was really on our mind.
Yeah. So then when was kind of the moment for you guys? Because a lot of the musicians I'm friends with and talk to, once they get a couple of hits and they go out on the road and you start to travel outside of your neighborhood, if you grew up in Philly, Philly and is not known to be a wine city, but it's more of a beer city, I think, in Pittsburgh as well. But we're going to try to get it there, right? We're going to try to get.
We got winos.
Winos, but so, I'm one of them. So, were there any
Perfect.
Great.
Winos, I like that. I'm sorry.
Were there any moments on the road with you guys? Maybe you guys all have your own path here. Was there like a magic dinner or a bottle or a visit to France or Italy or Spain or Napa, somewhere,
being travelers that we have been for the past few years, meeting a lot of different types of people and going to certain events, there's always alcohol. There's always, libations around. And especially when we have dinners and banquets and meetings with label execs in different parts of the world, I guess it was just one of those things you just kind of naturally kind of fall into because it's all over the table, like outside of eating and things of that nature. If someone's going to pour you a glass of something and you're going to try it and you're going to get really, really drunk for the first time because your body's not used to the alcohol intake. So, but after a while, your body gets used to it and you actually start to like it.
And then I think that was always the gift of record execs. Remember, they used to always give us bottles of wine. It didn't even matter how old we were. Just, here's a bottle. Like, that's just what they did. So we would take it home. And after a while, we're like, Mom, here, they gave me a bottle. Mom, here, they gave me a bottle.
Let me try this stuff.
Well, I could imagine, because, with wine labels and different grape varieties, different regions, and you're looking at these and like how to pronounce them and the words. And
I still don't know how.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys, you've converted your records into Spanish, so you could at least, You can at
We can
least
read it. We can read it.
Oh, you really
You can sing in Spanish.
You deep into it,
Quite
huh?
impressive.
Well,
I listened.
Yeah,
I didn't know
my wine.
like a month ago when we started working together, on this, that you had done those records in Spanish. The only artist I know that has really done that was like David Lee Roth, because I'm a rock guy and he converted.
Okay.
But so when was the moment where you guys maybe started to appreciate and say, wow, there's more to this? Maybe you visited a vineyard or met a winemaker. It wasn't just this like thing that was everywhere, but you started to say, wow, just like our vocals and the way we take our craft seriously, the way we take music seriously and the production of what we do. Was there a moment for any of you guys that was like, wow, this wine blew my mind? I had no idea. I have that moment in my life.
For me,
Right.
it was a little different because wine was always around, and I'm the youngest, but I probably started drinking before everybody here.
You gotta rub that in that you're the youngest, I'm sure.
Like literally, and but
affirmative.
I was more, I was more of a vodka guy. You know what I'm saying? Because that was, vodka. That I was basically.
It gets you drunk.
I grew up in a wino, atmosphere. You know what I'm saying?
Wino, yes.
But what happened is, for me, I would, take sips of wine at these events that Shawn and everybody were talking about, and I hated it. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't like the taste of it. And I went to a party with Mariah Carey. Mariah and I were really close, during the time of One Sweet Day.
Yeah, and another number one hit, right? That was.
Yeah.
How many weeks was that a number one hit?
Whoa.
Like 6 or 7 or something?
15.
Yeah, 16.
Oh, that was 15.
Yeah, 16.
16.
Yeah,
Huge. So you did 14, 15, then 16.
Well, no, 13, 14, and 16.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, all good.
I went to a party with her, and of course, you got Boyz II Men on one level. We were real laid back. We didn't really put too much thought into the gifts or the wines and stuff. But Mariah, she was living in that how do you say it, the lifestyle of a diva. You know what I'm saying? So she always,
thrifty.
she was always getting the best of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So her wine, she was like, you want some wine? And I'm like, nah, I don't really drink wine. Well, you got to try this one. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then she poured them. We ended up actually a couple of times that we hung out, the whole time drinking different bottles of wine. And that's when I realized that it's levels to this stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's levels to drinking wine. And, I started liking it a little bit. First I started with red, and then I jumped to rosé, and then I jumped to white. And then I realized that I like them all if it's the right bottle of wine, if it tastes right, if it's made by the right place. And, we just so happen to luck up and find the right place to make our wine, and they all taste good to me.
Yeah.
I was a late bloomer, so I honestly didn't really drink anything for real until I was about 48 years old.
Wow.
And and I think that with as far as your question, when did things kind of, you click or compare or kind of vibe in that way? I didn't really think about it until we talked about doing this, because one thing I always like to do with our group or even the brand, whatever we're involved in, it, like you said, it needs to relate. So that kind of, when we came up with the idea, it kind of forced me to think about, how do we really relate to selling wine? Like we don't like this to do stuff because, hey, here, stick your name on it because this Boyz II Men did it. There's got to be something behind it. Like, how does it really, really go together? So I never really thought about it, honestly, until we start doing this one and we did the different, the 3 different ones, and we talked about, how the music is played during, the grapes being grown, and all those different things start to come into play. So that's when I started to really lock in on how wine translates to what we do and how it's a part of who we are, especially with the 3 different, 3 different wines and, 3 different guys, 3 different personalities. It really, really does blend itself into this group, and harmony it just made all sense in the world.
Yeah, well, also 3 different grape varieties in each of the wines too. I don't know if So I was thinking about all these different these harmonies and how does it relate to how you guys sing and the different parts you sing, and you're unique in that sense for a kind of a doo-wop hip hop kind of group in the sense where there's not one lead. Each of you have very distinct places and very distinct parts in songs, and there's no Smokey Robinson in your group. There's small, everybody has, there's no one pitch. Guy that runs the show. There's you each, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So now we could fast forward here. I wanted to get your origin story a bit, and that was important to me to guide that through. But now how did you find Chateau August and Damien Landouar, and how did this all the harmony thing, how did this all came together? Because this is now, we're fast forwarding a couple of years here to a year, two years ago, something like this.
Right. Well, again, like I said, we talked about venturing out and doing some different things. And like I said, we as a group, one thing we always try to do, which is probably why you don't see a whole lot of stuff from us in different, avenues, business-wise. This just made all the sense in the world. We don't like to tie our names to something that we don't, feel that we can support or that we can believe in, or something that really, intertwines itself into our lifestyle. I mean, we don't want a car. You don't want a Boyz II Men car or some other kind of gadget or something. We don't do all that. But the wine idea came up. We all talked about it. Shawn came up with the idea of the name. We all had kicked that around, and when he said that, it just struck a chord. And as far
as it's perfect because I mean, your first hit says the harmonies. Everything's about harmony with you guys. So to me, It made perfect sense.
And we started to get input from people who had the wine before. And it's one thing, like you said earlier, how we all have our own different parts and our own different styles. People were starting to feel that way as they were drinking the wines, and they kind of had their own different, outlooks on this and on that. I mean, and by the grace of God, none of them were negative at all. But it started to come into the characteristic of what makes this group what it is, our individual personalities, our individual vocal styles, and how they intertwine and how the harmony is made. And that's what the wine really, really represents. Every grape in it.
Yeah. Wow. So then how did you, how was this partnership forged? And when you met Damien, the winemaker, how did you know that he was the guy? How did you know that this is the place? Bordeaux, it's kind of, to me, when I saw Boyz II Men in Bordeaux, it didn't make any sense, but made a lot of sense because Bordeaux's are typically blends. So the Bordeaux style of wine is typically, for the whites, it's usually 2 to 3 white grapes. But for the reds, it can be anywhere up to 5 or 6 grape varieties in the blend. So it started to make sense to me in that way. And also, Bordeaux is just a region that, we need to bring the cool back again. And I think you guys could bring something cool to Bordeaux. And let me say this, let me just say this in the best way. Bordeaux has some of the greatest wines in the world, hands down, some of the most expensive wines, hands down, age-worthy wines, hands down. But there's also a lot of layers to this region that a lot of folks don't understand. And I think what you've done with these wines, with Damien, all of them are absolutely delicious. We're going to talk about them in a second. But with Damien, how did you know he was the guy? And what's your relationship with him now? Because he's kind of like the fourth, the fourth guy now, right? Like
that was the guy. No, I'm just joking.
You got a new band member, and he's a French winemaker.
No, I mean we left a lot of that up to our partner, who's out in Florida and who helped us out and actually was excited about being a part of this business venture with us. And we're neophytes in comparison to what our other guys were a part of. Like they were experts in this. We just know that we like wine and we like what it tastes like. We know what makes us happy as far as like what tastes good to us. So we left a lot of the semantics as far as like choosing who will be the actual winemaker and all of those details to our partners. And we just like Nate mentioned, we came up with more of the I guess you could say the marketing PR type of stuff, from the slogan to the name to the logo to all of those other things that we have a little bit more of an affinity for. So it was just one of those things where it happened, and it happened in a real organic and good way. I mean, we're all pleased that the wine came out the way that it did, because being a part of this and understanding that we're not the first entertainers to come out with an alcohol. So we wanted to make sure that it was not just something that our name is on, but we could hang our hat on and say, no, this is good. Like, this isn't just some marketing ploy to make money or any of those stigmas that come with entertainers making their own alcohol. But this is something that we wanted to really make appealing to our fans and some new fans too, just fans of good wine.
Yeah.
And understanding too, at least I understood that there's a lot of good wines out now that don't cost Opus One prices. And you don't have to spend $300, $400, $500 to get a quality wine that you can enjoy in your everyday life. So I think we hit the mark with that, and it's thanks to Damien and you know, everybody at Chateau Auguste and everybody who helped create the wine the way that it should be done and make it
open to learn too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. So we're learning a lot about wine and the importance of it, as far as enjoying a meal or enjoying an event and all of those things. It's deeper than just sitting around posing with a nice shiny bottle that looks pretty. Right. It's a lifestyle, and it's something that augments your life. So this is what we want to do.
Well, I was going to ask you, Juan, was Opus One the bottle that Mariah gave you? Because Shawn, you picked up on that.
I mean, it was one of them. Opus One was definitely one of the bottles, you know, that tried. Actually, I didn't really remember what it was until one day we were actually signed to a independent label, and we were out in Vegas, and the label took us out to dinner and asked us what we wanted to drink, and Shawn said Opus One. and we actually brought, like, at least, I don't know how many bottles it was, like two or three.
It wasn't bottles, it was glasses. I heard. I wasn't even there, but I heard it was.
It was 2 bottles.
Oh, was
That's
it?
all it was.
Yes, it was 2 bottles. And
special wine, by the way, special wine.
Yeah, and honestly, it was very good. It was very good, but we definitely tried. They tried to hit us with the bill, and I'm like, y'all fit it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but don't ask us to order wine.
Exactly. But like Nate and Shawn said, these ideas and concepts were floating around for a long time, and we really, you know, every time something would come up, it just wouldn't fit. It wouldn't fit. And we also had like people like our manager, Joe Mulvihill, and we got David Booth, who were, you know, sitting in the round table trying to figure out what we could actually do to diversify the brand. You know what I mean? Yeah. And when David Booth found, you know, basically dealing with, I guess, alcohol for a long time, he actually began to talk to, you know, our partners, and basically came to us and said, look, we got it. And look to us, because they are the expertise. They look to us for the branding aspect of it, and that's what, you know, how it came.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Chateau August, where your wine is made, because it's a pretty special property. It's in Bordeaux. It's in a place called Entre du Mer. Interesting. It means between 2 tides, or between 2 rivers, and the property is organically farmed, which I know is important to you guys and to health and to that kind of thing. I know that's was a big thing for you. And then I think, Nate, you were saying about the music, Genodics, which is this really interesting scientific thing where sounds and music is played to. It's not only just vines. They do this for other agricultural things and even humans, to help humans heal within. And the Genodics helps make healthier grapes. It helps the plant be more disease resistant. And when you started to learn about that stuff, and like, did that just blow your mind that, you know, the wine can be organically farmed, with this kind of science that is kind of niche science, and you're music guys, so it makes 110% sense to that's where you went to.
It's amazing because we as human beings, we know that, like parents tend to play music for their children in the womb as they're growing, and they get certain reactions in certain fields and things like that.
Uh-oh.
So, what?
Where'd he go?
Oh, me, I disappeared?
Oh yeah, you did for a second. All right, there you go.
So yeah, we know that humans, we tend to play music for kids when they're in the womb and whatnot. But for grapes, you don't think of it that way, because some of us have a hard time of even thinking of plants as living species. You know what I'm saying? So grapes the same way. But when you do roll it all up into one and understand that they all kind of mesh together, it's very understandable why doing something like that would help them grow stronger and be more effective in fighting off diseases and stuff like that. So, and then when we heard that, first we heard it was other people's music, but we were like, well, when we do ours, we got to play our music. We got to play, I'll Make Love to You and 4 Seasons to the Grapes and Grapes, and his stuff like that. So we kind of got excited about that. That was really, really fun. And like I said, that was that's what I was saying earlier, where we like to feel like we kind of tie in to the things that we're about or that we try to push to people or try to do or show. We never just want to put something out there and say, hey, buy this, because like Shawn said, we're just trying to make money. This whole musical aspect of the grape growing and the blends and the harmony and the different flavors, and all of it is all of it's organic, which is, like us, how we came together, how we write our music. Everything that we do is pretty much organic. So this wine is it's right up that alley.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great time to transition into the wines. And you got 3 colors, styles, flavors, organically farmed, music playing. So let me clarify that. Nate, do you actually do you have your own Boyz II Men Genodics box where they can pump out all the hits and all the vocals?
We got a set list, so I mean,
really?
Yeah. I mean, it's really, you're talking about grapes and we're ballad guys. So, and we don't have a whole lot of up-tempo. So it's almost like you can take almost, most of our records and just put them on shuffle and just go for it. I mean, and that's pretty much, I think that's the best way to go at it because it adds personality to the playlist.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to need to do a study, at some point down the line when you these things take years, by the way. Organic farming takes many years to convert over. These studies of genetics takes many years to understand how it affects the quality of the grapes, especially in a place like Bordeaux that has some issues with disease in the vines only because it's humid and there's they have effects from rain, rot and stuff like that. And that's a big reason why genetics, that Damien is really big into that. But it'd be interesting to see down the line, block by block, if you play Motown Philly to 1 and it's more the new Jack Swing stuff versus the ballads, which wine, it tastes different. But so you guys want to jump into tasting the wines? I know I wanted to get the story of how Harmony came to be and you guys.
Half of this already, but all right.
Yeah, they're good. Well, hey, Fred, I have a couple of questions for you. I have a couple questions for you actually, because there's a lot of common things that are said about wine, right? And one of those things is they say that when you drinking a glass of red with your meal a day is good for you. In what way specifically is a glass of red good for you? 1 glass a day. I
can give you a couple reasons. So not far from Bordeaux, there was a study called the French Paradox. And this was in the late 80s, early 90s. And basically what a glass of red wine helps do is, so it helps when you eat, especially if you eat meat and fatty kind of things. It helps the enzymatic breakdown of the fatty of the lipids and the fats. So the tannins and the polyphenolics in red grapes specifically, because with red grapes you're squishing the grapes and you're getting all of the what's called anthocyanins in all the skin, And basically, grapes like Cabernet and Merlot that you guys have in your wines, Cabernet Franc, and what's grown in Bordeaux, have very high levels of polyphenolics in the skins and have very high anthocyanin. But there's another thing called procyanidine, which is a heart doctor studied this and determined that, if you drink a glass of wine with your meal, it helps you digest and it helps break down enzymes. The enzymes help break down fat and help your body kind of break those things down. So, that's one of the things. Also, there's acids and other kind of molecular things in a glass of wine, especially I'm talking about, I'm not talking about like grocery store wines because they have some adjustments, but wines that are organic and wines like Damien and you guys are trying to achieve to make that have as little intervention as possible. But grapes like Cabernet and Merlot have some of the highest levels of heart health also. So they help the red blood cell, they help just heart healthiness. So there's actually a grade of grapes that go from like 5 hearts to 4 in helping your heart healthiness, the way you digest and break down food. White wine not so much, but red wine absolutely. So but yeah, the moderation piece there, one glass is good.
What about the rosé? This guy
rosé can be good for I say a glass of rosé keep the doctor away, therapist away, it makes you happy. Rosé to me is like the I make love to you song, wine. It's like right. Yeah, so that's kind of a scientific answer, Shawn. I mean, I'm not a scientist, but I've been around enough. Does that help you? Did that make sense?
No, it did. It absolutely did. Like it helps break down the food. Because I also heard that if you drink, I don't want to get too gross, but a lot of times if you drink too much red wine, it could cause you to go to the bathroom. Like, and the number 2, like real quick and fast and that type of thing. Like red wine does that.
There's also studies that Hippocrates, I don't know if you know about Hippocrates, he was like one of the first guys to write the doctors have to take Hippocratic oath. And he said that if you were, if you had problems going, he would give you white wine and like honey and herbs. But the other direction, it would be red wine because red wine has solid materials that can help bind up again if you're having those issues.
Well, you know what, Fred? I'm gonna say
I read
this,
in a science book. Okay, like
I'm not going to probably remember any of those. I guess you could say scientific words. I'm just going to drink in.
Why don't we jump into wine number 1? The way I taste is with these kind of tastings, we'll taste white, rosé, and red, and it's fun to pair each of you guys up with a wine. And actually, it's pretty easy to do that in a sense because of the way your voices are. So actually, we have this in reverse order because I would have given you the red wine because you're the baritone, and that's the big, deep, rich wine, and that makes sense to avoid a vocal thing, right?
Well, I'm actually all over the place, so I mean, I can do all that crazy crap. So you can slide me like right down the middle.
So you got rosé. You're in the middle. Perfect. And then you're the tenor with the vibrato, right? You have all these like high vibrating notes, and that would be where I give the white wine because like white wine has higher acidity, freshness, brightness, more citrus, but you got the red. So it's like opposites here. But
I got the red.
And Shawn, you're going to be stuck with the rosé. That was my pairing in my mind. When I think about when you're on paper, how your voices have been categorized and where you are in each song of yours, right? But the white, Bordeaux white is something that is not Bordeaux Blanc is something that's not it's not really widely well known, and it should be because to me it's one of the most fun white wines in the world. Lots of folks like Pinot Grigio and Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay, they're popular, but Bordeaux Blanc is something anybody could like. This wine, any white wine lover is going to dig. I'm just going to pull the bottle up here. It's a 2019. And this is 50% Sauvignon Blanc, and you guys watched my video, right? So Sauvignon Blanc. I'll tell you what these deconstructions are. and how I think about these flavors. And maybe you guys can taste with me if you have it open, and you can say yes or no. But so Sauvignon Blanc, then you have a grape Semillon, and both of those grapes are from this area, but they grow all over the world now. And then you have Colombard. So the Sauvignon Blanc brings this citrus component to it. So the way wine people speak, the way we speak about it, I look for citrus. Anytime I see Sauvignon Blanc, I'm looking for lime and grapefruit. So if you get that, that's great. Also, Sauvignon Blanc is known to be grassy. So I get a lot of a little bit of herbaceous, fresh herbs. Think about chopping herbs in your kitchen. Oftentimes, Sauvignon Blanc can have a little bit of this green, almost bell peppery note. And so that's 50%. And that's what in my mind, I'm deconstructing. So if I knew there was a jazz trio, and, it's saxophone, bass, drums, I would think about, and the style of those players. Like the same way I would think about you guys in the way I know your vocals. And then the Semillon is 40%. That gives this some more texture. It gives it more kind of this little bit of a waxy texture, but a honeysuckle. It brings in some floral notes. It brings in some peach and apricot. And then the Colombard is kind of a goofy grape because it brings to me some pineapple, maybe a little lychee. So that's kind of how when I look at the wine, and it's got this color. And guys, I'm always looking at the color of the wine because that tells me, just like when you go to the supermarket, you look at the fruits, right? You know what a lime is different than a lemon, is different than a grapefruit. And I try, that's the way I talk about wine. But that's what this wine is. And then on the nose, it's all there. So that it all makes sense. If I had deconstructed a Boyz II Men song and knew exactly where each of you were at in the song, you have 25% of this song, but this is one has 50%. I would know what I'm, exactly what I'm looking for in a sense. You know what I mean? So that's kind of.
That makes sense, because a lot of times, even when we do parts, right, a lot of people don't know that we're not always, most of the time we are, but we're not always in the studio together, or someone
especially
might
in this
late
time, right? Like everyone's recording.
Right. So there might be one guy in particular that is more responsible for harmony composing than the other two. So that gives the song its character. If Wanya sings more harmonies than maybe Nate or myself, it has a feel to it that kind of gives it its character. If I did more of the harmonies, it gives the song a different type of character, and so on and so forth. Nate did the harmony, you know what I mean? So it's almost like the Semillon, the Colombard, the Sauvignon Blanc grapes, like they all, depending on the percentage of the grapes, it gives the wine its character, which is the same thing with our songs. Like you can tell, and this is the beauty of being in a group, like we can give different vibes based on who maybe wrote the song, who leads off with the record, who arranged the harmonies, that type of thing, and who's more predominant in the sound of it. It gives its song its character.
Yeah. Well, if you change this construction of this blend, you get a whole different thing. If you bumped up this, if you took the Sauvignon Blanc down, you put the Semillon up and put more color, you would get a whole different wine. But this wine is absolutely great. I think it's just an awesome, fresh, bright white wine with just enough texture that it's not lean. But it's got bright freshness, and it's easy to drink. So you guys know this. If this was a Boyz II Men song, the white wine, and maybe it's not the wine, it's specifically what Boyz II Men songs would be white wine songs. In my mind, these are more high note, more of the tenor, more of this like lifted, like up the register kind of song.
I would say Water Runs Dry.
Yeah,
Water Runs Dry.
Yeah,
hey, when water runs dry, you got some wine.
Right, exactly. Because Water Runs Dry it's extremely, like, it's one of our barest records because it allows everybody's vocals to kind of breathe, and with most of the record, it lives in the high notes. Like I think all of us hit some sort of falsetto type of lick in Water Runs Dry. So it gives you a feel of sunshine, even though it's called Water Runs Dry, it still has a feel of brightness to it because of the guitars and the strings and the bare, brush drums and that type of thing. It's very clean.
It's not
so
much, not much bass in it.
Yeah, it's not much bass in it at all. Yeah, it's very lo-fi, so to speak. So it has that type of energy to it, and just how we're singing it, we all kind of live in the high parts, in the high note section. So I would say Water Runs Dry, personally.
Wow. So I'm gonna have to listen to Water Runs Dry now after our meeting here and see. But Bordeaux has got 2-3 rivers. There's a big river that dumps into 2 rivers, which is where the Entre de Mer. So Water Runs Dry makes a lot of sense. These rocky soils. I could also see like, those like those like in like a therapeutic center, you go to get a massage. It has the water coming over, cascading over the rocks. The thing they have plugged in. But for real, you made a great statement there, Shawn. So who wants to give a stab at a food pairing here? What kind of food do you guys think? We could talk about a Philly food, or we could talk about something else. But I always want to complete it with a little bit of what are we going to eat right now, or are we just drinking this on our own?
I would say some Nobu whitefish.
Wow, straight for the Michelin star chef, Nobu.
Yeah, or some yellowtail.
Sushi. So sushi.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice salad, a nice, you know what I mean?
Mixed greens, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With a little bit of a mix of maybe a salmon, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Something clean, fresh, easy. In this region, there's a lot of seafood, so they eat oysters there. If you guys are into that, clams, oysters, fruit de mer is what it, but I love the Nobu call, and I love the greens call, because Sauvignon Blanc actually has that green note. Be perfect with this. What do you got, Nate? What would you?
I'm drunk, but I'm still here.
Jesus,
man. Well, get this man a sandwich.
Yeah, drink some water, man. Drink some water. Like, chase it with some water, bro.
So I love the fact that you guys make a white wine. I think it's so cool. I love white Bordeaux, like I said.
Dude, but I'd say mahi mahi. I'm sorry.
Mahi mahi, yeah.
But I don't eat it, but I know it would work.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm not drunk.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. So Nate, you're up. We're on the rosé, because that's what you have, right? So we're gonna do the rosé, and rosé all day, right? And I think I think your day just got usurped by rosé.
The interview is about to go up another level. So there we go.
This is the fun part, But so rosé. I mean, how cool is it that you guys get to make a rosé? Again, in Bordeaux, we think of red wine and rosé. There's not a ton of Bordeaux rosé, but there's a lot of rosé in France. And I think this is kind of like the lifestyle wine for every song of yours. Any song that people are making love to, you've got this on lock. This is like
rosé. Even to say the word rosé, that's sexy. Yo, give me a bottle of rosé. It's just sexy.
Yeah.
It's right up the middle, dude. It's just like you can't go too left, you can't go too right. It's just
Well, back to like the thing. So when I look at the color of this rosé, it's got a little bit of this what I call salmon onion skin. And so again, I dream and I think
take it easy,
wine
Nate. Take
colors,
it easy.
man. And so I'm thinking this is like grapefruit and mandarin orange and watermelon and peaches and these kind of like flowers, honeysuckle flowers, rose petals, petals.
Not red rose petals, not red
yellow
rose petals, but yes, the yellow and
yellow,
the
white, and those like orangey color ones. Absolutely.
Yes.
And then on the palate, awesome. Really, I mean, again, just really clean, fresh. It's almost like you guys' voice. It's always just super clean, super like, if you get what I'm saying.
But that's honestly
absolutely
what I was making when I was saying clean. It's like right up the middle. When you've got the red and you've got the white, like this one, it's not up the middle where it's tight up the middle. It fills up the middle. It has it really has its own space in the middle. It's not something that's just like you got red hair and white and in the middle is squeezed just like.
Yeah, no, I agree, Nate.
Shoot, even
I
that
agree.
description sounds sexy. Hold on. Like, what's going on? Right up the middle. It's not too big. It's nice and tight. You kind of go up in there.
Hey.
Hold on.
Slow down.
Did you drink before you got on here, dude?
Yeah, you ain't even drink.
I just had coffee.
Well, so let me ask you guys a question. Rosé has become one of the most popular categories of wine in the last, 5 years. Was it intentional to make a rosé, and is it something that you see your community, other musicians, people you hang out with?
It's our biggest sell right now, honestly. Yeah. It really, really is our biggest sell. I mean, people come in for red for an idea, and people try the white, but they lock in on the rosé. We didn't realize that's what it would be, but that's what I mean by there's so much space in the middle for this guy right here, where our fan, like, we did a couple autograph sessions, and the rosé was gone.
The rosé, yeah. And I think it has a lot. I think psychologically it has a lot to do with our audience. Like, our audience is predominantly women, so women like the sweet taste of rosé wines. So it kind of makes sense because not just of how it tastes, but even the bottle. Out of all three of the bottles, the rosé is the prettiest because it's pink. It's got the gold leaf on it. Like, it's a pretty bottle. So even if you're not even like drinking the wine, like, it looks good sitting up in your house. You know what I'm saying? So it has the look, and once you open it up and you taste it, a lot of the ladies go for this type of flavor. So
and I say it all the time, Shawn. The fact that we sell love. There's three different levels to this love. You know what I mean? You have the white, which is, you getting to know somebody a little bit. Yep. You know what I'm saying? You got the rosé that's actually, that's the foreplay. And then you got the red that's the deep inside the love. You know what I'm saying?
Deep inside the love. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The deep insides of love. You know what I'm saying? Which is, the relationship aspect of it. It's more so, to me, the colors actually represent love as well. You know what I'm saying? And the women actually, they sometimes don't want to be deep in love, and they want to get past the actual getting to know to the middle part, which is the relation, like the getting the foreplay aspect of it. Not even the sexual foreplay, and I'll just make that clear.
The intimacy.
The getting to know, the intimacy, the actual understanding of it. And that's kind of right in the middle. You know what I mean? So
right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's, you have, it's like a record, right? You put on a record and you got the first couple of songs that builds to the middle, and then you have the finale, or a show, like a concert, right? You start off with the white, it's energetic, you bring people in, then you go into this transition of the rosé where it's a bit more round and has a bit more texture and it's a bit deeper.
Yes.
And then boom, at the end you got the encore, and it's like, all right, this is happening. Right? Well, I was gonna say, with the rosé, back in school you used to dream about this every day, right? So
right. Exactly.
Well, cool. So give me a food pairing. What would you guys eat with your rosé?
That's a good question.
Nice chicken, a nice
salmon,
grilled chicken, and a salmon.
Salmon, chicken, absolutely perfect.
Grilled chicken, though. It gotta be grilled breast of chicken over some nice what do you call that rice? What's the rice that they do?
The what, risotto?
Risotto?
Oh, my dude. Nice risotto.
You could make rosé risotto, by the way. Pink risotto.
How about that?
Because you use wine in risotto. So how about that?
How about that?
That's bringing the love up,
see,
to 11.
It's funny you say that because I actually made that to put on my salmon.
Oh, you did? Wow.
Rosé risotto?
Yeah, rosé risotto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's hot.
You just blew Juan's mind. So he's like, I can't even comprehend this.
Yeah.
That bugged me out.
That's been good to Nathan.
It was just something I was trying. Me and my son was just like, well, we wasn't going to drink. But we was like, well, we don't want to drink, so let's just get some of it in some kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Let's
Well,
get
when
the
you
alcohol
when you
in
cook with
somewhere.
wine, the alcohol cooks out, so if you're not drinking. And
Yeah.
so I would have like a Tony Luke's pork, pork sandwich with this, or a chicken cheesesteak, talking Philly style.
Okay.
But
Chicken
yeah,
cheesesteak,
rosé,
okay.
salmon, chicken,
I
Yeah.
tuna.
see that. I can actually see that.
Right.
But my thing,
I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought of
I have burritos, tacos with rosé.
the only thing is in my mind, and I've tried it before, and it didn't really set right with me. Greasy foods with wine. You know what I'm saying? But it was a red wine, which was probably not a good pairing. You know what I'm saying? But I was
the grease. Yeah, you want
I
some
was just trying to get
greasy food with sparkling wines. Bubbles work best if you've ever.
Okay, see,
like beer is always good with greasy food, but
Yes,
bubbles.
absolutely.
Good. Yes.
We got to get you guys. We got to talk to Damien and get you a Cremant de Bordeaux. And Cremant is a style of sparkling wine, and we got to get you guys a sparkling rosé, and you just call it love.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Do that for the 30th
like it.
We have the technology. You can do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's move on to the red. We have the 2016 red, and I didn't mention this, but the rosé and red are mainly Merlot, 80%. I think it's 85 with the rosé, 10% Cabernet, and 5% Cabernet Franc. Here are your 80, 10, 10. And let me just give you how I deconstruct this if I was talking about the same way we talked about the white. Because rosé, it's a little bit more difficult to isolate these flavor profiles. They don't speak the same way because you're taking the red grapes off the skin. They're being pressed pretty quickly, and the juice is just getting a little bit of color, and it doesn't pick up the same flavors that when red wines have the maceration and they get all of the stuff that the grapes, that the grapes information has. But the Merlot in this, to me, gives it this plummy, juicy, blueberry, soft texture. The Cabernet gives it a little bit of that structure, that baritone and bass note. And then the Cabernet Franc gives it that like higher note. Cabernet Franc has more acidity in general. And it's got like violets and a little bit of this herbal, spicy thing going on. A little bit more red cranberry kind of fruit. And it's, again, it's like this interesting mix. And it's just a fun glass of Bordeaux to drink. So Juan, you have the wine, right? So did I describe it right for you?
I actually have the white. Shawn has the red. Come on.
Shawn has the red, but he's not drinking it. But real quick.
Yeah.
I realize, is that Mr. T on the back of your wall right there, dude?
Yeah. The alcohol made you see him finally?
I figured he was kind of pitying a fool, so I was just trying to see.
It's been there the whole time, Nate.
It's been there the whole time.
A good friend of mine who is actually an African-American winemaker, his name is, you should know this guy, his name's Andre Mack. He called himself Mouton Noir for a long time, the black sheep.
Okay.
And he makes wine in Oregon, but also does these prints. And it's one of these, and it's I pity the Vouv. It's a joke. It's like it's an inside joke. I thought you were gonna see my symbol.
I saw it earlier. That was easy.
Well, you can tell I'm into music.
Can you make wine in the ghetto?
Yeah. Well, there's actually good question. And we'll talk about the wine in a second, but I'll answer your question. There's actually like in Oakland and San Francisco and some areas, they're called ghetto wineries. And actually like Santa Barbara, if you've ever been down that way, there's like, storage facilities with the roll up doors where people are like making wine in urban communities. Like,
wow.
Especially when you're in California or in Oregon, Portland, when you are close to where grapes grow, you're able to get the grapes trucked in and have an urban winery where you have a wine bar and a hospitality piece.
Very nice.
Yeah. So
push the grapes in the toilet.
That's not, being sanitary is very important. So the red, I think this wine's an absolute harmony. Does anyone have the red?
Yeah, I have.
Well, I'm not drinking it, but I have all three. But I do have the red.
I have it right here. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
So Juan, tell us what you think of the red, and what's the Boyz II Men song?
Hey,
what's your pairing?
Real quick, show me how to drink it real quick so I can see how you do it, and then I'll be able to give you the, the scientific knowledge of it.
Okay. You want me to go through my process?
Go ahead, Shawn. Go ahead, yeah.
All right. So the first thing is you always want a white background. So
Okay.
I always look at a wine on a white background, and I tip the glass forward, and I look at the color.
Oh, here you go.
The color tells me, especially with red wine,
yes.
the lighter the color of the wine, the more raspberries, strawberries you're going to get. Lighter red fruits.
Yes.
This wine has this deep, dark, fleshy core color, right?
Yes.
So it's more black plum and blueberry and blackberry and this.
Okay.
And then I'm looking for those things. So I'm making my mind up of how the flavors are going to be. Okay. Then I smell it and I go from, okay, what kind of fruits are we talking about here? So I'm talking about these black and blue fruits. Yeah. And then I'm looking for secondary flavors. So the secondary flavors I'm looking for are maybe herbs and flowers, maybe leather, cedar, tobacco, these type of things. And
you don't smell it.
Nate, no, seriously, bro, you gotta try this, bro. Seriously, when he's explaining it to me, I'm actually smelling that.
It's synthesizing. Well, look, the power of suggestion, right?
Yes, actually, yep.
But yeah, so it's learning the vocabulary. It'd be similar to how you guys walk into a studio. You know how to look at a mic. You know what you're gonna say. You know what you're gonna do. Right. If you told me, I'd be like, oh wow, that makes sense. Right.
No, that
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just hate Nate right now. Nobody should ever give Nate anything to drink in the universe of drinking.
He's doing great. He's doing great.
I ain't doing nothing. What are you talking about?
He had the green screen on earlier. It was great.
Help me out. So now it's time to taste, right?
So I look at the wine and then I smell it, and then what I want to do now is like a producer. So the way I think about tasting would be the producer looking and smelling in a sense of like, okay, here's the chart, here's the general orchestration, here's the vocal, here's the song, what the song's about. So I and then now I try to taste the wine to create the production of like all of those things in my head that it all makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
No.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to him, and he's lying.
What is? Hey, Nate, hold on.
So now,
I hate him. Can we mute him, please?
Taste the wine.
We were here.
Taste the wine.
Right here, me and you.
Taste the wine, Juan. Taste the wine, man.
So, but I also have a bias here, to be honest with you, because I know Bordeaux should be a little bit drier. It's a little bit drier. It's not fruity like California. So I also now, I'm going to take those things and then start to put them into textures. And that's what I meant about a producer. A producer like Babyface and Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, they give you massive textures. Like, like the drum beats and the bass sounds and all of these these sounds that you don't necessarily hear. But now what I want to do is I want to shake the wine up in my mouth and get all that stuff going on and get all of the beautiful layers. And
That's why you pull it when you drink. That's why you pull it because you're trying to get the actual flavors. Yeah, so that's an oxidation thing. And by the way, all wine people do this, and I do it with water. I do it with soda. I do it with like any liquid. It's just it's a tick now. It's become part of my. So when you drink it, like kind of give it a.
So it's
you know what I'm saying?
Slurp. It's a slurp. Yeah.
We actually learned that when we were testing it in Miami. Remember?
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a skill. Yeah. It's a little bit of a skill. You guys can do it. Yeah. And but it draws in oxygen, and what happens is, and the same thing that you asked Shawn earlier about what food, what wine does with food. What that does is help the wine break open. It helps polymerize, because the wine sometimes there's a lot of molecular things going on, and sometimes it just needs to be broken apart. And if you really do that, you start to get all the layers, and it starts to go around your palate, and it starts to move. It moves outward into your cheeks. Well, one of the reasons I would know that this is Merlot in a blind tasting, like if I didn't know what this was, because it didn't give me a lot. Cabernet gives me more. Cabernet has
and Fred, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a reason why we open up bottles of wine and they quote unquote let it breathe, because it's been trapped in a bottle for how many God knows how long.
Yeah.
When you open it up, like it allows the oxygenation, as you said,
Oxygenation.
Oxygenation, it allows it to actually become, what it actually is. So you give it a chance to let the air hit it and the whole. Now, these are things I used to think was just like some, just some uppity wine stuff that people that drink wine, do. But
you can use a decanter,
exactly. So the decanter is good because it allows the wine to actually become its characteristic. So when you let it sit for a while,
or a big glass.
Yeah. Honestly, the funny thing is because like you said, we're unlearned. We don't know these types of things, but because we didn't really like zone out in that area, you know what I mean? But like I said, when I was hanging out with Mariah and her friends, they were in an upper echelon thought process, you know what I'm saying? So they would have all these things and I still wouldn't understand it, you know what I mean? I just was drinking, you know what I mean, getting a little, twisted. I liked it. I began to like it. But at the end of the day, it wasn't something I was trying to learn, you know what I'm saying? So I would see all of these things like the wine glasses and the beads inside of a something that did something like, I'm like, why are those barbells inside the bottom of, you know what I'm saying? I would actually see it, but I didn't really care to really like understand it because once I finished there, I was probably going to go get a bottle of bourbon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was the thought process behind it. But as you get older, you start to realize that there's an art to drinking there's even an art to drinking bourbon. You know what I'm saying? But
any type of alcohol, absolutely.
The art of drinking wine is definitely, it's more class. It's classier. You know what I'm saying? So I'm, that right there is what makes Boyz II Men a brand that you can match with it.
Yeah.
Well, what I was gonna say, Juan, because I didn't get a chance to answer the question, is like a lot of times, like how I got into drinking wine is, I think my taste just started to mature, and which is one of the reasons why my love for red is what it is, because I just like that suits my palate for some reason. And when even after shows, and you've seen this one, like there was years ago, after a show, I'd have a nice glass of Merlot and a Cuban cigar, and having those two elements put me in a state. It wasn't just the drinking of it; it was almost like a cipher for myself, where it would put me in a space where I would calm me down. It would make me think about what just happened, what's about to happen, and all those other things. That's why I say, drinking wine is a lifestyle, because it literally denotes who you are and at that moment, which is why you drink it. So red wine, for some reason, has just been that type of wine for me personally, that whenever I go out or whenever I'm in a function or something like that, that puts me in a space, and it's good for my palate, which is a question I wanted to ask you too. Why is it that certain wines appeal to certain people? Because as much as I love all three of our wines, like I just draw more to the red, because that's just how my mouth is set up, to like that more,
Yeah. Well, let me frame it this way. I like all kinds of styles of music. I grew up in a video store. So I watched all kinds of different movies. I've been open to all kinds of things. That was one of the great things about when I went into the wine industry, was about your guys' age when you got signed. I was about 20 years old when I started studying wine. So for me, I didn't have this kind of like, I have to like this, and I don't like this. I was able to be very, very open because I was doing it as a study. I was studying the subject versus being a consumer, which I think, most consumers have, what they think they like or what they really like. And with brands and certain things, maybe they don't get the opportunity to try new things. It's like with music too. It's like I listen to all kinds of different music. I mean, you guys are drilled in my head, your songs. I mean, you're on auto repeat. and I dig it, you know. But I also listen to metal. I listen to my favorite band's Toto, man, because they're all session guys. They're all like the guys that played on all the Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones records. Right. So I'm also able to look at their styles, like if they go from one record to another, I'm able. But also, it's also when you're a sommelier in a restaurant, which is, you know, the profession that I started with, when you go to tables and you run programs and you're in charge of the restaurant wine list and these type of things, I'm tasting hundreds of wines a week sometimes and putting different things on for different occasions. And, you know, so for me, my palate is very much about, like, as long as it's really good, you know, and I like really well produced music, which it's for you guys, it's like, man, like you guys had some of the best production. You have some of the best production. I can only imagine the mics you guys use to get your voices, you know, and all that stuff. So, you know, and it's okay. You know, some people like bourbon. I'm not a big Scotch drinker. I appreciate Scotch, but I'm not big into that smoky thing. Right. And, but I have to buy Scotch for my clients. Like if, you know, if I'm doing a bar program, I need like 15 single malt Scotches. I'll taste through them all and make sure that they're good. But maybe they're not my particular thing, but I understand them. And I think that's the important thing, is that people don't get pigeonholed and say, I only drink this or I only drink that. Try new things, listen to new things, taste new things. You know, it's funny, Shawn, that people do that with food. They'll taste new stuff all the time. But with beverages, it's like, I'm a Bud Light guy, or I only drink Macallan, or I only drink this Pinot Grigio, or, you know. I drink Coca-Cola. Yeah, I'm Coke, not Pepsi, Well, sometimes you got to drink Pepsi because that's the only thing that's offered. The only thing it's either or. So, but I think the best thing to teach anybody is just like, try new things. Go to, you know, when you go buy wine, if you can, ask questions to a store or a restaurant, and ask for tastes if you can, and stay, you know, say, I like this. What else would I like? I mean, that's kind of how with music, it's like, I like this thing. What other musicians played on this? What other bands were they playing in, and what other things fit in that genre that gets me a little bit out of my comfort zone, you know?
Sure.
That's kind of what they do. That's kind of what they do now with the whole.
Well, the Spotify gives you whatever you want. I mean,
exactly. Yeah. When you actually like choose a certain song over and over again, they'll say you might like this one. You know what I mean? You know, they suggest it. You know, I have a question real quick, because I know that me and Nate, on the road, we used to always drink white Zinfandel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we used to like kill bottles of white Zinfandel. I remember. What's the difference between, because they look the same to me. Like, I mean, I know what the difference is now. You know what I'm saying? But for people who wouldn't know, white Zinfandel and a rosé, what, you know what I'm saying?
One of the similarities, like if they like that, would they like this, or vice versa?
Yeah. So essentially, they're made the same way. So basically, it's red grapes that have very little amount of time on the skins, and it just gets enough color from the red grapes. With white Zinfandel, typically they leave some residual sugar, meaning that the fermentation hasn't gone fully through. And with grapes, you have sugar and yeast. So what happens is they kill off the yeast, so there's just enough sugar for that little bit of sweetness. And the dry, you know, your rosé is bone dry, and so it's, you know, if you left a little bit of residual sugar, then you'd essentially have you know, that flavor. But that's something that was very popular. It's something that you probably just were told to drink. You know, like, drink this because that's what other people are drinking. And you know, with where you are at now in the wine world, you have access to basically create your own new world of your own new palette, and discover new things the same way you would hear things sonically and sing things differently. Now you can use the other couple of senses, your nose and your palate, and build upon that, in my view. So there's really no difference, except one's sweeter and fruitier, and one's dry and you know, clean and fresh. You know, it's just a difference in texture. It's also a textural difference. So
Gotcha.
Now, does the sugar give you a different? It enhances the alcoholic intake.
No,
right?
the sugar gets converted to alcohol. It gives you more alcohol. But when you have residual sugar, you have more. You're getting more sugar. It's just sweeter, you know. So that's, you know, but people like that. If you like a sweeter wine, drink the sweeter wine. Right?
Right. It doesn't mess you up no different, basically. You don't get drunker, basically.
You'd get less drunk, but probably have more of a headache, I would say.
Right, because of the sugar.
Dry
right.
rosé will give you more alcohol. You'll get better. You'll get drunker faster. The white Zinfandel will probably give you a headache. So I would suggest drinking water with that. But you know, it's a style that people love. It's popular, you know, and it's still, you know, a big thing. So that's interesting you asked that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hey guys, well, this has been absolutely fantastic. Harmony by Boyz II Men. What a trip talking to you guys from Rock Your Wine World. I hope you dug what we're up to and what I'm up to. And
man, this is dope, man.
I think it was great.
This is great education for a non-drinking guy. I tell you that. It's really, really good.
Cool. Well, I hope that you learned a little bit of something, and that the Harmony wines are awesome. You have a great partnership with Chateau August, and I've spoken to Damien a couple of times. We can email back and forth, and I know what's up in the vineyards and what's up with what he's doing with winemaking. He makes a couple of different wines. He's got 3, 4, 5 properties that he drives around. He's like 20 miles. He's in a whole different region.
Damien's all right. Shout out to Damien, and thank you for creating such a great wine for all of us to enjoy. We really appreciate it, Damien. Thank you, sir.
Hey guys, Boyz II Men. So give us a shout. How can we interact with Harmony Wines? Do we get on Instagram? Do we get on Twitter? I know you guys have a huge Facebook following. How do we keep in touch? We're launching in Pennsylvania. You guys are launching in PA, which is huge. What's the best way to keep the wine, keep pouring the wine and keeping the fire lit and all the love?
harmonywines.com. You can go figure out what's the closest area that you can get it or have it shipped to. And obviously all of our social media handles, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, will give you all the information you need to know about where you can get this wine. And it's a great time right now because we got holidays coming up, and hopefully we'll get through some of this madness, and you want to share some time with family, and if not, be able to ship them some of this to give them a part of you. You know what I'm saying? The sense of them, and brighten up their holiday and the scenarios that we're dealing with today. I mean, a glass of wine can make a lot of people feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
and a Boyz II Men song with the glass of wine.
There you go.
That's right.
There you go.
That's important.
Yeah. We totally represent love, and we totally believe that these wines actually have love embedded within them. So
organic, Genodics.
That's right.
That's
Put
right.
something in here. It was
And the price point too. You guys have
the price point is amazing.
Price point.
Yeah, great price point. It's good for anyone who wants to just drink a really unoffensive bottle of wine when you're socializing with your friends online.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Online, social distancing, guys.
You can create like Harmony wine clubs where you call your friends and you Zoom like this.
There you go, Nate. There you go. You being drunk is making you come up with all kinds of ideas, man. It's awesome. It's awesome, man.
Well, you guys are entrepreneurs. You've done incredible. Hey, this is Fred Dex,
Somebody get that
Master
man some
Sommelier, and Boyz II Men, Nate, Shawn, Wanya, like sommelier. We're gonna get you there, Juan.
Right.
This has been Rock Your Wine World, and congratulations on Harmony. Congratulations on 30 years of being Grammy Award-winning master musicians, hit makers, love makers for all of us out there. And I wish you guys the best and best and best of success with Harmony. And any way I can help and we can help.
We appreciate how much you're not just into the wine, but you're into the group. That's important to us. A lot of people to do interviews, and I mean, I know wine is a subject, but we realize from where you're coming and the things you're talking about that you are really a deep Boyz II Men fan, and we really, really appreciate that.
Real
talk. Man, the soundtrack of my life, and still to this day, I've been listening to some of the new stuff too, Collide and some of the things that you've put out, and I look forward to any of the stuff that you guys do. You're masters at your craft, and congratulations on Harmony by Boyz II Men. And
Thank
Fred
you.
Dex here, kicking it just for you. I had to provide
See what you
the
did there.
Motown Philly groove.
Boyz II Men, ABC, BB.